had a rough debut in the Pro Chess League this week, and I think the best way to start is this clip with Magnus after the match.
Canada chessbrah's victory. Magnus joins us for an interview. We appreciate it. Magnus, how does it feel to go 4-0 yet again?
It was good to help the team in this way, but I gotta say that the whole team today did a really good job, except Eric. He sucked, and he almost cost us the match. So shame on you, Eric. But
that is true. Can't deny it. I had a rough week. I want to show you a kind of move that I encountered that kind of summarizes what I was dealing with. So this was my third game of the match. I started off 0 for 2. I was struggling, and now I'm paired against international master Carissa Yip. Carissa is one of the highest rated female chess players in the US. And check out what happens in this game. I mean, I'm trying to score my first point because she's the lowest rated on the team, but I mean, I regretted that decision pretty soon. So we start off with a Sicilian con, which I often employ. And we have a bit of a hedgehog structure. Slightly different though. The bishop's on d3. Anyways, I'm going to scroll through a little bit here. We have a position like this where, I mean, I've had some similar positions. I often push my h-pawn because 1, sometimes I go knight g4. Or 2, sometimes I just push this pawn down the board and I hope that I can weaken the long diagonal. Well, Carissa had another plan here. So h3, I go h4, thinking about, let's install a knight on g3. Rook c1, queen b8. I had to go queen b8 because I'm worried about knight d5. This is a common idea in the Sicilian where if I take that free knight, they take back with a c-pawn and this pin is killer. So queen b8, she goes queen e2, knight h5. I'm like, why wouldn't I go knight h5? It's with tempo now, because now when I go knight g3, I have potential to fork both the queen and the rook. She goes queen g4, so I'm like, oh, that's just a waste of a move, or half a move. And if you notice the time, I have 7:30, she has 5:50, so I'm playing fast. I'm trying to recover after a bad start. I go bishop f6. I'm like, you know what? This looks nice. This bishop is active. The knight's gonna go here. Life is good. And Carissa pulls out e5. And I'm like, well, I mean, I have a queen, bishop, and pawn covering e5. When I calculated this, I thought I could take that. So I kind of take it without thinking for very long. I just assume it works. I'm used to it working in these positions, and I was a little bit tilted from the match. And Carissa unleashes bishop g6. I mean, I was thinking, is she going to go knight e4 or maybe pawn to f5? Some attack. There are some ideas, but bishop g6 is a shocker. I actually saw it as soon as I took the pawn, but I didn't appreciate how strong it was. After bishop g6, I could not find a move. The idea here, the reason why this is such a strong move, is it's attacking the knight, obviously. But most importantly, it's actually threatening queen takes e6 because this pawn is pinned. And the position goes from, white's a bit better to I'm in big, big trouble. I gotta try to survive, and I'm not really seeing many moves here. If you just want to look around, let's say I go knight takes f4. Now I'm defending e6, and I'm hitting the knight again, but now white just goes rook takes f4. And I have the same problem. If I take the rook back, queen e6, and just to show why queen e6 really is an issue is, queen takes e6 check. If I go king here, I get mated, queen takes f7, right? If I go bishop here, this bishop is captured with check at the minimum, right? But white can also consider taking some pawns along the way. But at the minimum, they take this, and they have 2 pieces for the rook and a huge attack. And if I move my king here, well, I'm not going to survive for very long with this rook coming to d1, giving check, and should be mate in a couple moves. My king has no shelter. It's just a sample variation. And I'm like looking and looking. And the issue is I have to defend e6. And I have to defend my knight because white is just threatening to take the knight. I spent a ton of time. I just couldn't find a move. It's just a fantastic move. I'm in big trouble. So at that point, I decided to go king f8. The idea was, at least I'm not getting checkmated. She takes the knight, and I take here. And I thought, you know what? If you look at the time, I'm still up about 45 seconds. I have 2 pawns for the bishop. And this bishop is a little bit offside. So, I even have ideas like queen e5, for example, and that bishop might be stuck. So at least I thought this was a way to complicate things. There were some other ideas like, like rook takes f4. Maybe I can go queen e5. There were some ideas like that. So I got 2 pawns for the piece, and I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. The game gets messy. She's up a piece. She's doing well, but it's a bit hard to play for white because you still have to be very precise. It's not like my bishops aren't very good. It's not like white is kind of tied down to defending this, and this knight's also kind of stuck. It can't really move towards the center because of the pin. So we make some moves. We get in a bit of time trouble. Look at this. I have 3 minutes and 13 seconds. I spent almost all my time on queen b4, which is awful. And the game just somehow, after queen b4, I'm hitting 2 pieces at once. She takes on f7. I take on b2. She goes knight d5. And I'm at 17 seconds to a minute 14. And this is another move that Carissa played that impressed me, because she played it after 4 seconds, which told me she calculated it. And my initial instinct in that, when I briefly calculated, was that, like, if I take this, I'm up a piece. But there's queen d7. How do I stop white from playing rook e1? Rook e1 to rook e8 checkmate. Right? I mean, there's moves like bishop e5. I'm trying to block the diagonal, but then my bishop is hanging and the attack is still coming. So this threatens checkmate and the bishop, and it looks like I'm getting mated. So I decided to take, and I'm up a piece here, but my king is wide open. And she takes, check. And I actually thought I might survive here, even though I have 5 seconds, because I noticed my bishop is covering h4, and some pieces have been traded off. But Carissa, once for the 3rd time this game, found a nice variation. Queen takes f4. I go king g6, repeat a couple times. Now I block because I'm trying to play for a win. I needed a point, want to help the team. She goes rook e6 check. I was really hoping for something like queen d6 check. Then after g6, I think I'm doing well, because I can bring my queen to defend this or bring one of the rooks, and I'm actually covering all the important checking squares. I'm just saying, like, rook e6, queen c2, I'm defending this, and I'm ready to trade pieces off, and this bishop covers the checks, which is nice. Unfortunately, Carissa plays rook e6 check. Can't go up because of queen g4 checkmate, right? So I go, and I can't go down because my bishop's hanging, so I go g6. And again, she finds the only move, rook takes g6 check. There might have been some other options like queen d6, but then we transpose, I play queen c2, I'm happy. She goes rook takes g6, gotta take that. Queen f7 check, only move, king h6. Queen e6 check, only move is king h5. Miraculously, I'm not getting mated. If I go for the win here and move my king down, let's say to g7, I gotta watch out for this checkmate. So I go king up, check, and check, and I just don't have a way of making progress. So we repeated here, and that was a draw, but I was losing multiple points, and even when I thought I was coming back in, she was really sharp tactically and put a ton of pressure on that. So this was a draw, and that was my only result of the match. I lost 3 games and I drew 1, and the 1 draw here, I was in trouble. So Carissa put me under a lot of pressure. I thought that was an interesting game, and I wasn't the only one that she put under pressure. Check this out. In the first game of the day, Carissa was paired against Magnus. Magnus was pushing most of the game, but it was competitive, and we're in an endgame here. Bishop and 2 rooks for white, knight and 2 rooks for black, 2 pawns apiece. And Magnus has just played c4. And they both have a couple minutes on the clock, and right in this very moment, Carissa could have played bishop e5, and black is in trouble. Rook f6 check is the threat, and the problem is there aren't many squares for black's king to go, right? And there's not many squares for the knight to go. The knight's kind of dominated. Can't go here, here, here. So you got to watch out for this check. You got to watch out in the future for rook a6 check. And, you know, just to even show like what I mean by that, if I turn on the lines, it says white is almost winning. And you have to, the only move that's not immediately losing is king g5, running into bishop takes d4 check, which I don't know if Magnus would have played, right? You can sack the exchange, but white is doing really well. And the threat of rook f6, along with either trying to ladder mate the king with the rooks and the bishop, or just trapping this knight. Carissa, had a golden opportunity here to score a point against Magnus. She ended up losing this game, but I just want to show it to say, like, you know, like every single opponent on their team was really tough, and Carissa was no exception. I mean, she could have hurt our team a lot worse than she did. Another key moment in this match was our board 4 and her first time playing for the team and the season. Maili-Jade, she's the Canadian Women's Champion. She's playing black here against Abhimanyu Mishra, and white goes rook g5 check. She takes this pawn, material's even. A couple checks are thrown in, and now Maili goes for king e4. And her idea is to probably bring the king to d5 to support this weak pawn on e6 and target white's weak pawn on c3. So fast forward, rook f3, rook g6, she goes king d5. Now c3 is falling no matter what. You can't get another defender on that pawn. And check out this conversion. Brings the king back towards the center, knight towards the center so she can push her pawns. And it was a very, very smooth conversion. And if you look at the final standings, this was one of the biggest upsets of the season so far, and pivotal for our team in this match. So big shout out to Maili for this win. White resigned here. You're not stopping these pawns from queening. Black might even get 2 queens. Big upset. So the match ended 8.5 for us and 7.5 for Garden State Passers. Maili's point was huge. I had a disastrous week, really one of my worst weeks ever in this league format, but fortunately Magnus scored 4-4. Šarić from Croatia also making his debut, Croatia's top player. He's played for us for a few years. 3 out of 4. Excellent result. And Maili scoring that big upset against the board 3, 1 out of 4. I mean, that's what got us to 8.5. My half point, again, I want to forget about it, but what's most important is the team won. We moved to 2-1 on the season, which means we're one win away from making the playoffs. And in case we lose this week, we still have another chance of making playoffs in week 5. So we're 2-1. We won a really close match, thanks to my teammates and the fans. And upcoming this Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, we're going to be playing the Levitov Chess Wizards, one of the top teams in the league by rating and historically. They have a lot of like strong Eastern European blitz and rapid specialists. But make sure you tune in, and thanks again for supporting us. Hope you enjoyed the recap.